One of the things we're going to talk about tonight is being ready for that season. And I'm going to tell you this, all guys in the room, I want you to look at me. Since before the fall of man, God called you to work. He called you to work. There's no way around it. I haven't, got all my theology for Eve, but guys, before the fall of man, before sin entered the world, Adam had a job. If you don't have a job, it's time to get a job. Amen? Amen. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to, Pastor Soto, last week, he released you to prayerfully walk in the Spirit and into a season of, we could be in a season where we might date someone. And maybe you're in here and you're married, and we said, hey, this is for the culture. This isn't maybe for you right now because you're married. Same thing applies here. We're going to be talking about this next season, and maybe you're locked and loaded in this season, you're ready to go, but we're speaking to culture for Hyphen here. So one of the reasons that we felt compelled, me and Pastor Soto and Pastor Hoffman, we felt compelled to talk about this season of dating was based on some of the things that we were seeing. In the same reason, Pastor Soto, Pastor Hoffman, and I have been prayerfully considering our culture here as it relates to our careers and how we navigate this season of our lives. So tonight, the lane that we're looking at is the places that bring us income, the paychecks, and how we relate to those places. So tonight, I'm not going to say that in order for you to have a job and in order for you to accept a job, you have to receive this divine vision from God. God spoke to me in a dream, and He showed me the place that I was going to work, and He showed me how much that might be great. God never did that for me, okay? And so I want to just set the tone right away. I want you to prayerfully walk in the Spirit in relation to where you work and what you do for your career and how that relates to your ministry and all of those things. But God may not give you this specific dream that like, oh, I'm not gonna take this job unless God specifically shows me. Is that fair? Sometimes it's saying yes to the next door that opens. And unless God gives you new marching orders, continuing with the previous marching orders that we were given. Now, I'll tell you this right now. It's not God's will for you to job hop 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. It's just not God's will. Because we are to work as unto who? The Lord. And I don't think anyone in here is skilled enough to master a job and in 3 months go on to the next job. Master that job and on to the... No boss is going to be like, yeah, you're way better than me in 3 months. No one's going to do that. But we have to pray that God helps us to walk in the Spirit and understand, God, what is your will for my life? What is your will for me? For me, should I be a lawyer? Should I be a doctor? Should I be whatever it is? I want you to walk in the Spirit and be Spirit-led when it comes to your career. And so it's not just God's going to give me this divine vision and I'm going to see exactly what I'm going to do. But it's also not just my opinion. Well, I think that I, would be really suited to be a professional basketball player. If I said that, everyone would kind of chuckle a little bit because that's just not in my skill set. Sometimes we do the same thing, though, when we say, well, I went to school I went to college with some people that they were going to be professional singers. I'm not sure where. I'm not sure, and so they became teachers. I'm just kidding. I'm like 20% kidding. Half of my, so I was friends with a lot of music majors, and literally half of them went on to teaching because they realized that music majors, there's very few opportunities to I'm going to make it on Broadway. It's like making it in the NFL. You can't just decide I'm going to do this. So it's not just, God's getting me a vision, and it's not just my opinion, all right? But sometimes God has naturally gifted you in an area that you can thrive in a career. If you hate people, you don't like talking to people, you don't like interacting with people, and the thought of talking to someone for a job is terrifying to you, sales may not be a great opportunity for you. Okay? I've known some people that are in sales or customer service, and God did not gift them to talk to people. In fact, most of the times that I call customer service, God has not gifted them in that area. And I think, you know what? You should probably work at a morgue. You might have better interaction with the people around you. Again, like you may want to consider what the natural areas that God's gifted. What are your strengths? What are your natural talents? What are the areas of your heart that you're a little bit curious about? I started out college as a nursing major. You know why? Because I thought it was cool. And I thought, my brother's doing this and it'd be really cool, and nurses make really good, money. And I got one semester into biology and I said, not a chance. I'm not even a little bit remotely interested in this. Mrs. Beard, that was her name. Mrs. Beard caused me to stop being a nursing major. But when you align your purpose with God's vision for your life, you can discover your naturally God-given talents, and you can ask God, what do you want me to do with this? Again, not all, He's going to give you some divine wisdom. It's not all my opinion, but it's somewhere in the middle. Sometimes I think we're hesitant to take next steps because we don't know exactly what that's going to look like in 5 years. Remember how Pastor Soto last week, he just released you to say, I may not know what this is going to look like in 5 years, but I'm going to take intentional steps. You can do the exact same thing with your jobs, with your career. And you can say, this is a job. Let's be honest. Who's had a job that you for sure knew it wasn't your career? All right. Someone tell me a job that you had that this ain't it.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Aldi. Yeah. Kohl's. Pretzel maker.
Extreme Air floor monitor.
Devin. Quick Trip. So when I was a high school, when I was a senior in high school, I worked at a Chinese restaurant, and I was a delivery driver for the Chinese restaurant. And honestly, it was low-key really awesome. I got paid in cash, which was totally illegal. Sorry, IRS, got you on that one. And at the end of the night, I got whatever I wanted off the menu. Yeah, I loved it. This I can't tell you where it's at. So my encouragement is this. You don't have to know what the next 5 years are going to look like, but I do encourage you to take steps on a path. Take steps on a path intentionally. Do you have to know? I had a speech down when I was a senior and freshman in college, for your nosy neighbor or your pesky aunt that's asking, so what are you going to do when you grow up? And it's like, we got the answer. Is anyone still on the same answer they gave? Okay, no one here, literally no one. Okay, great. And okay, so no one, so we're all on the same page with that one. Okay, so we now have what we call shared values. We're all liars. But do I believe that God's will for our lives is only through career achievements? No, I don't. But I do believe it's a big enough part of our lives that we have to talk about it, and we have to address it, and we have to take steps in that area, since all of us is going to affect all of us. And I do believe God wants to bless you in that area of your life. If you're graduating high school, and let's be honest, how many of you wish that life was as hard as it was in high school? Like that version of hard versus this version of hard. If you just graduated high school, don't worry about it. You'll find out how easy your life was. But we enter new seasons of difficult. And as we grow older, I believe God broadens our shoulders and gives us new levels of strength. And I think some of us rely on that old strength of what we could do and what we could manage and what we could maintain. But I want to tell you something crazy tonight. Are you ready for this? Take a deep breath. You can go to school and work at the same time. Amen. You can. Is it hard? Yes. But Hyphen, I want you to look at me. I want to see the whites of your eyes right now. You can do hard things. This is the season to do it. If there's ever been a time for you to just like grind it out, I'm going to work 40 hours a week, I'm going to go to school full time, and I'm going to have thriving relationships, you can do it. You guys, you hang out till like 2 a.m. anyway. All of a sudden we don't have time to study for a class? Give me a break. You know who the people who don't stay up to 2? People that have jobs. Okay, all right. You can do hard things. Okay? You can. Is it difficult to pay for college and go to school? Yes, it is. But you can hear me out. You can go to college debt-free. You don't have to go in thousands of dollars of debt in order to go to college. If you believe that, you've been sold a lie. You've been sold a lie if you don't think you can go to college and pay for it. And if you want to talk more in depth about that, I'd love to set up a meeting and talk about this. It's called grinding. You just got to work. You got to hustle, baby. I mean, let's get real. You know, the people that, well, I need to take out student loans so that I can, have $4,000 to spend on, groceries. Like, you live with your mom. Be careful taking out thousands of dollars of student loans so that you can pay for things that you should be paying for with your paychecks. Okay? Is that fair? Yes. I'm being hard on purpose, but listen to this. Proverbs 18:15 tells us that an intelligent heart acquires knowledge. An intelligent heart requires knowledge. So let's talk about learning. In high school, we all got some electives, but for the most part, we all really did the same thing. Some of us, we took shop class. Not me, obviously. Some of us were anyone in like a math club? Julie was in a math club. Some of us were involved in every extracurricular with singing you could be. Yeah. But post-high school really determines what you're going to do with that knowledge. What am I going to do when I leave high school? We can do more, family. We can do more in our community. We can do more in our careers. We can do more. It's okay to have a career goal, Hyphen. It's okay to have a career goal that you want to be a nurse. Hang on to that desire. Don't let that go. It's okay to do something crazy and say, I'm going to be a doctor. It's okay. That doesn't make you unapostolic. It's okay to desire one day I'm going to own a business and I'm going to make 6 figures. That's okay. You know why? Because people that are ridiculously rich and they have a heart of God, they give in crazy ways. Because a campaign all of a sudden comes up and a business owner says, you know what? Put me down for $100K. No sweat. That gets my attention. I can't do that right now. I'd love to. Making money is not sin. What does the Bible say about money? Be good stewards of it? Yes. And the love of money is the what? Money's not the root of all evil. The love of money is. When you make more, you can give more. If it's in your heart, though, I'm going to make $1 million because I'm going to drive a Bentley and drive, 3 cars and have 7 pairs of shoes that are all worth, more than someone's income. That changes the narrative of why you're living the way that you're living, okay? But what if, so we've got to start somewhere. What if we had this desire, I want to bless God's kingdom? And there are business owners in our church right now that are already doing this. They say, God, if you'll bless my business, everything that I have, I'm going to continue to put back in your kingdom. I'm going to bless you in big ways. And so you guys remember the analogy Pastor Soto has given in years past, where like you have a little spoon with the corn, and all of a sudden you have a big shovel, and it's a really big shovel. When we have a really big shovel and we keep putting back into God's kingdom, God is going to bless the harvest. And then all of a sudden, our harvest is much bigger than we ever imagined because we desired to bless God's kingdom with the gifts that he's given us. So that changes the narrative when it comes to positioning ourselves. So my wife and I both went to college. We both have 4-year degrees. I'm for college, okay? I am for college. It is not a sin to go to college. It's not unapostolic to go to college. The conversation is not, oh, do I want to go to secular school or do I want to do the things of God? That's not the conversation we're having. And I want to just break our minds of that there's a way of God and then there's secular college. I don't want that to be part of our culture here. You can go to college and do great things for God, all right? If you want to be certain things, the path has to be college, okay? You want to be a nurse, there's not like a self-study program. You submit at the hospital an application, I'm going to be a nurse, and I did 4 years of self-study. They're going to laugh. You have to go to college. You want to be a teacher, McKenna, you got to go to college, right? And it's going to be really hard, but it's going to be really rewarding, okay? You want to be an accountant, a dentist, a licensed counselor, the path is college. There's no way around it. You have to go to college. I'm not trying to single anyone out in here. This actually probably a lot of you, but this phrase, I'm going to take a gap year, really is can be challenging, okay? Because if I were to poll everyone that's ever taken a gap year, just one, it'd be very few. Because what's the trend? I'm going to take a gap year and then all of a sudden, you know what? I'm making a lot more money because I'm working full time. Crazy, right? But I want you to see what you could be and the money that you could be making, the ways that you could bless, compared to just taking the job after high school and sticking with it, all right? Now, I love seeing? I love high schoolers working terrible jobs. I love it. It's so great to me. I just, like seeing the kale kids just grind it out at McDonald's for years on end. Nothing makes me more happy than just like every day hating it, but showing up every day. There's something special about that. And they've since moved on, and that's okay. But staying with a high school job, can we call it $14 an hour? Is that a fair normal for a post-high school job? Is that too much?
Too much.
Okay, all right. This actually works in my favor. Let's call it $14 an hour. Just balling out at McDonald's. All right. Look at this. Let me pull up some stats here. This is what I wanted to show you, but it's okay. $14 an hour. Assuming you're making $14 an hour and you're working 40 hours a week. Wild, right? One thing, Hyphen, can I just right in your face? If you're not going to college, it's time to work full time. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's time to work full time. 20 hours a week it's not going to cut anymore. We are adults. It's time to work full time. If you can't get 40 hours at your job, pick up a second job. This is what adults do. We work full time. Thanks, one person who said that's good. Okay, check this out. Listen. Gross income calculation. Hourly wage, hours per week, weeks per year. Gross income, $14 an hour, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, assuming you're not taking unpaid holidays and stuff like that. $29,120. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Minus, so that is gross income. Does anyone know what gross income? Like disgusting. Wow. It's gross. Pre-tax, okay, watch this. Federal income tax, $4,368. Social Security, $1,805. Medicare, $422. Total taxes on that, $6,595. Net income on a $14 an hour job, working full-time, minus taxes, is $22,524 a year. Everyone say woof. Okay. Keep that number in your head, 22,000, okay? Walk through the bottom end of this with me when it comes to our average expenses. And this is average on the low end, okay? Low end. Rent or mortgage, 10,000. That's on the low end. Utilities, 2,000. Transportation, gasoline, 1,500. Car insurance, 1,000. Food, 2,500 a year. Well, let me change it for here. Probably 5,000 a year for the room. Healthcare, $2,000. Co-pays and deductibles, $500. Streaming services. Hobbies, $500 to $1,000. Clothing, personal care, $1,000. Some of you maybe spend like $1,000 on camp for your clothes. So listen, on the low end, we're talking bottom of the barrel, living expenses, $20,500. 22,000 minus 20,500. That gives you 15, that gives you like nothing for the rest of the year, okay? So we didn't even talk about tithing. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Can we talk about tithing for a second? Don't make me pull reports on y'all. When it comes to a $14 an hour job, we see it's really, really tight. But that's, from what it sounds like, that's even on the high end of what you can make right out of high school. So what does it take to make a job, to get a job where you're making 24 an hour? What does that look like? Someone give me an example. What does a $24 an hour job look like? Construction. Hey, don't joke. Warehouse work? Assembler? Okay. So I want to talk to you guys about paths, okay? What path are you intentionally on? Is it, I want to be a nurse, and so I'm going to college. This is the path. Is it, I want to stay at the job that I'm at right now, because listen, I was telling Blake before service, working in fast food, it's all fun and games until you're the general manager and you're making 70 grand. Like, laugh at the McDonald's job all you want, but the general manager, they're making a lot of money. So can we talk about working your way up? Can we talk about being diligent in a job? And all of a sudden getting a raise every other year because of great performance? And all of a sudden you're giving new responsibilities and new opportunities. So I don't think the answer is always just get a new job. I don't think the answer is find a new career path. Sometimes I think it's staying and hustling and just grinding it out, because you know what? There's honor. Now, do I just want you to stay in a job that's toxic? No. I'm not an idiot, okay? But sometimes we're so quick to say, I just believe God's calling me somewhere else. When like God didn't speak, it's just a toxic work. Just own it. Like, I hate this job. It's terrible, and it's like literally killing me to be here. I just don't like working here, and I want to get another job. I'd rather someone own it than to spiritualize it. God may have spoken to you, and if he did, that's fantastic, and I will celebrate that with you. We talked about some jobs that were definitely not the career move, like Chinese restaurant, like not really a career move. It was awesome, definitely gained weight, but a job where there's no growth opportunities is not long-term. It's not long-term. A job where you're not challenged is not long-term. You know the most challenging thing I did when I worked at a Chinese restaurant? Use a map. This was like pre-iPhone. I had a map in my car. It was stressful. Some of you wouldn't know how to get anywhere. I don't know how to get anywhere. Or a job that you really like it, but it doesn't pay any of your bills. It's time to get a new job. Another path is what I would call other. I want to, let me just, before I go into other, there's a path, so we're talking about college. There's other jobs that, so the job that you currently have, working your way up and being diligent with that job. Another path, let's not forget about the trades, people. The trades are incredible. I was doing some research today on just some of the trades just here in Appleton. You know, electricians make like a lot of money. Yeah. Average income for an entry-level electrician, $52,400. Entry level. Right out of school. Well, so you got to go to school for that one. Yeah, like 6 to 12 months. Some people go to school for 4 years and make a third of that. I mean, really. Plumbers. Average cost of a trade school for a plumber, $4,230. That's the cost of their school. Entry-level income, $47,100. After just a couple of years, $61,700. Let's not forget about some of these trades, okay? Sometimes it's really easy to say like it's either college or bust. Like I'm gonna go be a lawyer, or I'm gonna. Okay, so when I I'm not even gonna look at anyone. When I was fresh out of college, 4-year degree, you know my first job? I worked in a call center. I worked for Kimberly-Clark Corporation, and people called in every day and they complained about their diapers. Not their diapers, but like, that was an entirely different line called Depend, which I also worked. So I'm going to be real honest with you guys, okay? I worked for different brands at Kimberly-Clark Corporation. Huggies, Depend, Kotex, I did it all. It was wonderfully awkward. And I learned more about certain products than I ever cared to know about. But you know what I did? I was diligent with that job. And there was one day where I was referred to another job at a nursing home. And I never thought I would work at a nursing home. And the person that interviewed me, you know the topic of conversation for the most of the first 15 minutes of our interview? Pull-ups. Because my interviewer, he had toddlers, and he said, hey, I see you work at Kimberly-Clark. My kid's in pull-ups right now. And I'm like, it was like an instant connection, because I was asking him like, oh, which ones? Oh, does he love this one? And all of a sudden I saw very quickly, maybe this was part of God's plan. And I submitted to this process, and I showed up every day, and I learned actually how to talk to people that were angry about something stupid. And all of a sudden, it gave me a relational currency with an interviewer that I have no experience in this job. And my income doubled overnight with one career move. Now, could I have applied right to that job from graduating college? Potentially, had I known about it. Would I have got the in with that person? Probably not, because I had zero experience. But what I had was relationship. And so I want to encourage you, you might be working a job right now that seems menial and it's really not going to amount to much right now, but maybe you're learning something now that's going to affect the next job. Could it be part of God's plan? God's crazy enough to do something like that. So we see different paths that we can take. There's college, there's a trade school, there's working your way up in the current job that you have, and there's other. I want to be a business owner. You have the entrepreneur heart, and you want to build something or invent something. That's awesome. I want to encourage you to do that. Get a job and do that. Okay? I think Pastor Blake is really awesome. He owns his own business doing media and stuff. But I also know behind the scenes the years that he spent behind the scenes, like quietly hustling to do that. I remember Blake did an internship when he was in college, and I remember that internship very well. You know how much he got paid for working 40 hours a week? Nothing, because it was an internship. They worked him. But it was all part of the process. And all of those skills that he learned in that internship, he now uses. So you look around and seeing, like someone like a Tim Coggins. Tim Coggins, if you don't know Tim, he's like low key, like he's not gonna like flex any of this. He's over US Bank for the entire Midwest, if you didn't know that. But he didn't start doing that. It's all part of a process. And so we're taking intentional steps. I want to read I want to read a scripture here. I got to pull it up here. James 1:12 tells us that those who endure trials, can I say jobs? We find ourselves blessed. Every job, every terrible job that I've had, I've learned something from it. By the way, I do want to open this up for questions, and I want Evelyn to come up here with me towards the end. So get a question ready if you have any questions about your job or your career or anything, because I want to be helpful tonight. But I want to release you, again, like Pastor Soto said last week, I want to release you to walk in the Spirit. And I want you to prayerfully consider what next leveling your current job looks like. Maybe that's you just learning the art of being diligent and showing up every day. I asked Pastor Susan before church tonight, I said, hey, I'm talking about careers tonight. What would be the one thing that you would tell Hyphen with their career? And she said, show up on time. I was like, I kind of chuckled, and she's like, no, seriously. There's a lot that can be learned from just doing very basic things with a job, like doing what you get paid to do. Like we don't get paid to text, you know. Yeah. I mean, some people I go in gas station, it looks like they get paid to text, based on what I can see. But showing up on time, I always have had this mindset: on time is late. If I'm showing up, if I work at 8 o'clock and I'm showing up at 8, I'm late. And so I want to be there early. So learning the art of diligence and the art of just simply hustling. Hyphen fam, now is the time to hustle. You can work a job and go to school and have relationships. You can. Is it hard? Yes. Is it easier when you're 17 to schedule time to hang out with people? Yeah. It's a lot easier. It's so hard to schedule time especially when you get like really old like me and you start having kids, all like hanging out, like you have to like plan a month in advance for stuff. It's wild. So take advantage of this time now while you can to invest in yourselves. All right? So I want to clarify, I believe that God can bless you in other ways besides your career. I do. I'm not here to preach a prosperity gospel that everyone in here is called to be millionaires and like that's only God's plan for your life. That's not what I'm saying. God may call some of you to be millionaires so that you can give in crazy ways. All right? Someone said I received that. Yes. Evelyn, I want you to come up here. Evelyn, if you don't know, Evelyn worked. How long did you work at the bank in high school and through college?
I started working as a teller before I even had my driver's license in high school, and I worked there until I was a sophomore in college. And then I worked at Panera through college. Closed the restaurant and did accounting until 2 a.m. So
yeah.
You can do it, work and do school. I did it. And then after I graduated, I worked at, I started as a receptionist at a really tiny medical office, and I worked my way up as a supervisor. I managed 45 employees, 8 clinics, doctors, nurses, PSRs, receptionists. So yeah, that's kind of my career path.
Evelyn has a very extensive, awesome work history. And girls, let me tell you this. You can be a girl boss. All right? God hasn't just called you to only be a receptionist, and I say that with air quotes. I mean, God can give you favor in a workplace to be awesome things, okay? And so if you ever want some advice on that, if you ever want to look through a resume with her and say, like, what does next leveling my career look like? I want you to schedule some time to talk with Evelyn. Guys, if you want to talk about your career and your resume, you want to look at it, talk with me or one of the other guys at church here. We're happy to do it. But let's hear from you. What is your, like Pastor, so yeah.
Can I just say something?
Absolutely.
Another just path that I think you I don't know if you really verbalized it, but there are so many employers that will pay for college.
Yes.
So like in the healthcare field, I had receptionists who were going to school to be a nurse, and we literally paid for their college to work as a receptionist, and they had to turn in their, prove that they were in school and their credits and stuff. But the hospital actually paid for their school, and then they became nurses in the system. So that's just the medical aspect of it, but there's so many jobs out there that honestly, like, they will pay for your schooling, so look into that too.
Yeah, that's huge. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's a muy bueno.
Yeah.
Okay, questions you guys have? Career, jobs? Yes?
Can you speak to people who are called to full-time ministry and that mindset of having to first work secular jobs in order to eventually get into full-time ministry?
Absolutely. So we are all in full-time ministry right now, every one of us. We are all in full-time ministry. We don't all get paid working in full-time ministry, but we're all in full-time ministry. You're ministering all the time, full-time, hopefully more than 40 hours a week. You're ministering to someone. As a career path, if you have it in your heart, God has called me to be an evangelist. God has called me to be whatever it may be. That's okay to have that as a goal. I never thought in a million years that I would work at a church. I was on a career path. I was doing sales and marketing and social media stuff, and I was loving it. And one day, Pastor Soto had a conversation with me, and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And we were youth pastors for 4 years, just volunteer, and it was awesome. We had kind of the best of both worlds. We were both working, we were serving here at the church, and God totally just changed that. The best advice I can give someone who has it in their heart to one day work at a church, one day serve in a ministry where they're working full-time at the church, give the best of yourselves to what you're doing now. So if you're working a job that you hate, give the best of yourself to it. Show God, I want to be the best. I want to serve you and honor you and be diligent in this job, and pray that one day you will open a door for me in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think probably in church, some of you have heard Pastor Soto do his sermon on like the sacred and the secular. And I think sometimes in the church, like we kind of separate those two, like it's not the same. But we all are in ministry, like every day.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that I learned outside of the church in my workplace that I've used in ministry and vice versa. But yeah, I mean, you can have a dream, you can have a vision, and God can really put something in your heart. And if, like Seth said, keep doing what you're doing and stay faithful to that, but also look for ways, find people that are doing that and cling to them and learn from them. Because if you really, like, let's say, if you feel called to be a youth pastor, but you're not learning from a youth pastor, you're not seeking for ways to learn and to serve in that capacity where you are working, that may never be fulfilled because you weren't prepared when that door actually was ready to open.
For sure. When I started working here at the church, I wasn't actually hired as the youth pastor. I was hired as the youth pastor, music director, and creative director, or promotions director. And so music stuff I had been developing since I was very young, and that was just part of kind of like, it was like in me. All of the marketing and promotional stuff I learned at other jobs. And so I was able to serve in a new way at the church because of, again, 4 years of volunteering as a youth pastor and like hustling every single day, doing stuff for that. And so it turned into something, but it wasn't just one thing, it was multiple things. And so I was investing outside the church in a bunch of different ways. Good question.
That'd be silly, but like,
No
what
silly
about
questions.
investing into like stocks and stuff? I don't
Yeah.
know if that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. If you started investing in good growth stock mutual funds right now, how old are you? 18?
I'm
18. If you invested $100 a month into that by the time you're 25 and you stopped, you would outpace me by the time you're 40. If I just started right now, and so by the time both of us got 40, you would way outpace me. Okay. My advice, and this is just personal, my advice is look at the teaching of Dave Ramsey. It's the best advice I can give any of you financially is don't get in credit card debt. Don't buy stupid things with money you don't have, like a $70,000 car because it looks cool and you make $20,000 a year. That's what we call dumb. But investing can be really good. But if you're in debt, that's not good. But you want to do some research on it, and I would do growth stock mutual funds, not like Bitcoin. You'll lose money real quick. Yeah, good question though.
Can you speak to those who may be weary in their jobs but can't quit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. One of the best pieces of advice someone gave me, and this is really simple: don't quit a job unless you have a job. So if you're like I've had it, I can't do this anymore, and we say, well, it's just not good for me, and then all of a sudden we don't have an income, that stress is more stressful, trust me. No money coming in is much more stressful than a stressful job, okay? So if you're looking for a career change, please, 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 I thought this was common, but maybe not, minimum of a 2 weeks notice. Minimum. This whole like my notice is you're not going to see me tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
Quiet quitting, that is not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay. No call, no show, like no example of Jesus. That's like, just don't be that person. Yeah.
The best time to look for a job is while you have a job.
Yes. So if you're thinking like it's time for me to leave, start looking for jobs, and don't do it at work.
How do you navigate like a job in, let's say, healthcare that you don't have a choice when working weekends? Let's say Sundays mornings.
Yeah. The best time to have that conversation is before you say yes to a job. And so in the interview process, every interview that I've ever gone through, I have said I'm happy to work as many hours as you want, all right? There are 2 times that I can't work. And that's Wednesday nights starting my church. I'm committed to my church, and so I start at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, till like 9, I can't work. And then Sundays, and I explain, our services on Sundays in the past when I've had interviews. And it's never caused an issue for me when I'm upfront about it. Where it becomes a problem is when we say yes to a job, we know what the expectation is, and all of a sudden, well, actually, I have church on Sundays, and then your boss gets frustrated because it's unclear expectations. And so if I know, for me personally, I'm not knocking anyone that in our church that decides to do this, but for me personally, I'm not taking a job that causes me to miss every other Sunday. It's just not happening. And so if that career or that job or that location, whatever, it's every other Sunday I'm working, that's not the path for me. I'm going to be at church on Sundays. And so you don't have to work Sundays because you don't have to take that job. Does every single job or location in a career path have that same thing? Probably not. I think there's creative ways to get around stuff like that. Now, the flip side of that is don't be the person that tries to take off for every single church event, like on a Tuesday night and a Thursday morning and a Saturday afternoon. I heard someone tell me once that my boss was frustrated because I told him I can't work on Sundays. And I was like, what do you mean? We have service until 12:30. Your workplace is open until 9. You can't work on Sunday mornings, but your job opens at noon. We have an 8:30 service. So there's ways around that. The best advice that I can give is be upfront in an interview process. And there's been times though, like missing church for work is not the deadliest sin. Okay, sometimes you get called in and you just have to go in, or there's a work meeting. It's okay. You got to do it sometimes. Be a team player. Sometimes you have to miss a winter youth convention because too many people took off and you were late. Don't quit. Be diligent. You guys got this. We believe in you. If you want to have a conversation about your job or your career, schedule a meeting. Let's talk about it, all right? Love you guys.
Bye.